Good Yontif. I'm Rabbi Jessica Graf, joined on the bima by Rabbi George Altshuler, our cantorial soloist Simon Barrad, and Jonathan. He moves so fast. Jonathan Dimmock, our awesome music director. He was just here a second ago, and now I think he's up above. There we go. To bring us beautiful, beautiful prayer. Together we will fill this historic sanctuary, this dome, with our prayers for this Yom Kippur day. We begin our service on page 140 in our Machzorim with Esa Einai. We turn to page 158. Pure, my God, is the soul you have given me. You formed it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me. You keep it safe within me. Someday when this soul returns to you, I will find a place in eternity. But as long as spirit breathes within me, I place before you my thanks. Eternal my God and God of my ancestors, creator of all creation, sovereign of all souls. We give you praise, Adonai. All life is in your hand, and in your care the soul of every human being. We continue on page 171 with Ilu Finu. We have the great privilege to hear a beautiful African melody this morning.
Yeah.
We continue on page 178 with Baruch Hu. Please stand. Page 185. Hineni, behold, I stand ready to listen and learn, to embrace in thought and deed, to proclaim with a whole heart the sacred unity of all being. Baruch atah Adonai habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Our praise to you, Adonai, you have singled out your people Israel with love. We continue together on page 188 with Ve'ahavta. Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam veshivtecha beveitecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha Ukshatam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tiskeru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, vitim kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiyot lachem lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem
Adonai Elohechem Emet. We continue on page 195. We carry the Exodus vision wherever we go, lest we forget our sense of liberation, lest we lose the joy of breathing free, lest we grow indifferent and blind to others' pain. So long as we work to make you present, we walk the path of freedom. But if we forget to bring you into this world, then we return to the darkness.
עולים לשמך על שפת הים. יחד כולם הודו והמליכו
We continue with the Amidah on page 198. Please rise if you are able.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, ve'Koneh Hakol, ve'Zocher Chazdei Avot ve'Imahot, u'mevii geula livnei bneihem, leman shemo be'ahava. Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Ata Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal. kamocha el harachamim, zocher yitzurav lechayim berachamim, v'ne'eman ata l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
We turn to page 206 for a beautiful meditation written by Rabbi Ed Feinstein, who many of you have had the privilege of learning with, as he's been our guest here at Congregation Shereth Israel many times. This meditation was often read by our Rabbi Emeritus of blessed memory, Rabbi Martin Wiener, and so I read it this morning in honor of our teachers. On Rosh Hashanah, this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. Who will live and who will die, who will reach the ripeness of age, who will be taken before their time, who by fire and who by water, who by earthquake and who by plague, who will rest and who will wander, who will be tranquil and who will be troubled. I will live and I will die at the right time and before my time. I will wander, but I might yet find rest. I will be troubled, but I may achieve tranquility. This is the central truth of the high holy days. This is what makes them Yamim Noraim, days of terror. We are vulnerable. Page 210, and so a great shofar will cry, Tekiah. A still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, Behold, the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes, even they are not blameless. All who come into the world pass before you like sheep before their shepherd. As a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff, you count and consider every life. You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe judgments. Page 212. On Rosh Hashanah, this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted?
Rosh Hashanah, Ikatevu, Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur, Yechatemu, Rosh Hashanah, Ikatevu, Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur, Yechatemu.
Page 214, but through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. Our standing prayer on page 218. Page 232. Our God and God of the generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness. Together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel, may we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace on this day of atonement. Zorchenu Adonai Eloheinu bo letova. Amen. Ufogdenu vo livracha. Amen. V'hoshi'enu vo l'chaim. Amen. Eternal our God, remember us. Be mindful of us. And redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. We continue silently with the words of our own hearts or the words of our machzorim to page 252. This sanctuary is filled with amazing people, all of you. In ways large and small, you do things in the world every day that change the world. You lend a hand to this community. You help each other. You help to bring voice to people. You bring diversity into the world. You make this universe of ours, this crazy and complicated world, a better place. And we are so proud of our community at Congregation Shereth Israel. So many things happen that people don't even know about. But this room is filled with extraordinary humans. In honor of so many of the things that happen in the world, that change the world, I would like to invite a very special person to be honored this morning to come forward to open the ark for Avinu Malkeinu, Rich Weissman. Rich and his husband, J.D. Horn, do many things, and you might have met J.D. when he came to speak as one of the authors at our literary salon last summer. But Rich and J.D. work very hard to bring voice to political candidates who might not otherwise be heard, especially young LGBTQ candidates who are running for office, who need to have a voice and need to have a space to be able to talk and to be able to help us change our world. We're so proud of all that you do, Rich and JD. I'm sorry I'm embarrassing you, but I'm so grateful that Congregation Shereth Israel is your Jewish home in San Francisco, and we're proud of you and JD, who's not feeling well this morning, but is here with us in spirit. We turn to page 252 for Avinu Malkeinu. Please stand as the ark is opened. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Ve'al Olaleinu Vetapenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our families.
Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever Ve'cherev Ve'ra'av Me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror.
Avinu Malkeinu Kodvenu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu Malei Yadeinu Mibirchotecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings.
Avinu Malkeinu Harem Keren Meshichecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, let our eyes behold the dawn of redemption. Avinu Malkeinu, nal al teshivenu rekam milfanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we pray, do not turn us away from you with nothing.
Avinu Malkeinu, kabel berachamim uvratzon et tefilatenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it.
Avinu Malkeinu, aseh imanu lema'an shemecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, aseh lema'ancha imlo lema'anenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake, if not for ours.
Avinu Malkeinu, ein lanu melech ela ata.
Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign.
Avinu Malkeinu, patach sha'arei shamayim tefilatenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be open to our prayer.
Avinu Malkeinu, shema kolenu hus verachem alenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Treat us with tender compassion.
Avinu Malkeinu, honenu ve'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim, aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed ve'hoshienu.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu
we remain standing if we are able as we begin our Torah service with Ein Kamocha on page 255.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kemasecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol tor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam vaed. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Please be seated. So the excerpts from Deuteronomy that we're going to read this morning are really some of the most beautiful passages in the Torah. If you'd like to follow along there in your Machzor on page 266. And I really encourage you to follow along in English because these are really beautiful and lyrical passages. They're so great I can't help myself but read just from the first aliyah we're going to read in English. So if you'd like to follow along, I'm going to read a few verses on page 266. You stand this day, all of you, in the presence of Adonai your God, your tribal heads, elders, and officials, every man, woman, and child of Israel, and the stranger in the midst of your camp, from the one who cuts your wood to the one who draws your water, to enter into the covenant of Adonai your God, and the oath that Adonai your God makes with you this day, to establish as God's people and be your God, as promised to you and sworn to your ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And not with you alone do I make this covenant and this oath, but with each one who stands here among us this day in the presence of Adonai our God, and with each one who is not here among us this day.
We would like to honor so many people who contribute to our community on this Yom Kippur morning. Our first Torah reader will be Ruth Auerbach, who is going to make her way, there we go, from our High Holiday Choir. Ruth of many fames, but I was going to say our weekly Beautiful Challah fame is also a fantastic Torah chanter. As we invite our people to come up for Aliyot, please, I invite you to come this direction, and then you'll come up here and go down on the side of the piano. Ruth will be reading Deuteronomy 29:9 through 11. And for the honor of the first Aliyah, I would like to invite Jim Davis, Lee Pollack, Gail Gottlieb, and Julie Lekach-House to come to the bima. Ta'amod le'aliyah la Torah. These four extraordinary people represent many, many of you as they come to the bima this morning. They each have run groups and participated in creating communities within our community. The book group, the aging and saging group, I like to call it, and our wonderful memoir group. So many of you have had a chance, especially during COVID, to become part of a community within our community to make sure that you have a voice and a place to be heard and to connect with people here. We're so grateful for all that the four of you have done and for the groups that you have brought together to thrive during these years of COVID, before, during, and long after. We pray. Thank you for your great contribution to Congregation Shereth Israel in our community.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notei HaTorah.
Amen. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem Roshechem shiftechem ziknechem v'shotrechem kol ish Yisrael tapchem neshechem v'gerecha asher bekerev machanecha mechotev etzecha ad shoev mimecha leovrecha bivrit Adonai Elohecha uvalato asher Adonai Elohecha koret imcha hayom.
Baruch ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch ata Adonai, noten haTorah.
Our second Torah chanter this morning will be Lisa Erdberg. And for the honor of the second Aliyah, I would like to invite Craig Etlin, Lisa Erdberg, and Lita Morgenstein to come to the bima. Ta'amod la'aliyah la Torah. These three amazing people have been part of our search last year for a cantor, but more importantly than all of the hours that they put in searching and reading resumes and all of those things, the search to deepen and build our community is extraordinary. We are so grateful to the three of you for so many things that you do at Congregation Shereth Israel, but in particular for always helping us to build and to grow and to become a better place. Thank you.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim, V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Leman hakim orcha hayom lo la'am v'hu yiyeh lecha le'Elohim ka'asher diber lach v'cha'asher nishba le'avotecha le'Avraham le'Yitzchak u'Yaakov v'lo idchem levarchem Anochi kored et habrit hazot ve'et ha'alo hazot ki et asher yishno po imanu omed hayom lifnei Adonai Eloheinu ve'et asher einenu po imanu hayom.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Natan Lanu Torah Temet, V'chaye Olam Nota B'tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Lisa will also be chanting our third Aliyah this morning, but there's a little bit of a jump, so if you're following along in our Machzorim, Lisa will be chanting Deuteronomy 30, verses 6 through 8. It's on the top of page 267. For the honor of the Aliyah, I would like to invite our amazing Hamotzi volunteers to come forward. Ta'amod le'aliyah la Torah. There she is, the grand poobah of Hamotzi. I don't know what your official title is.
Half of the congregation is walking up here now.
We have so many people who are coming up right now because Hamotzi and Chicken Supers has been a mainstay of our community, such an important part as this wonderful, amazing group of people under Nancy's expert direction, love, and care that is unyielding. How long have you been working on this? 30?
It's 30 years this Shabbat.
30 years this Shabbat. This group of people has, with so much love, come on over. There's so many volunteers still behind you. With so much love, created meals that have gone out 200 and more meals per week that go out into our community to people who need food, who need love, who need a little bit of just extra blessing that comes from us and from our kitchen and from these hands. And we're so grateful for all that you guys do, representing a much bigger group of Hamotzi volunteers, because without you, we wouldn't be actually Congregation Shereth Israel. It's so proud of this work. So we honor you today as you honor us all year.
Amen. Umal Adonai Elohecha et levavcha ve'et levav zarecha la'ahava et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafsheha lema'an hayecha. V'natan Adonai Elohecha et kol ha'alot ha'ele al oivecha va'al sonecha asher radafucha. V'ata tashuv v'shamata b'kol Adonai v'asita et kol mitzvotav Asher Anochi Mitzavcha Hayom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam atah b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai
Thank you all so much. As I'm looking at you, I'm realizing I said cooking, but I didn't say shopping for food and delivering and bringing love into people's homes. So we thank you so much, and especially Nancy, you have coordinated with so much love this program for, I didn't know it was 30 years this Shabbat. I knew it was a long time. Thank you so much. We continue with our fourth Aliyah. Alan Mervis will be our Torah chanter for this Aliyah, Deuteronomy 39 through 11, continuing from where Lisa paused. For the honor of the Aliyah, I would like to invite our amazing Chesed committee to come forward. Our Chesed committee, and there is overlap. I know, you can do a lap, right? Some people. We have so many people who are involved in caring in so many ways, not just with the delivery of food, but with the delivery of love in so many ways. These people who are standing here, a small group representing our Chesed committee, and are representing so much love that goes out from the heart, the core of our community, of these angels who stand here and who bring love to people who are so lucky to receive everything that you bring. Incredible in small ways, in large ways. This Chesed committee is our beating heart. Thank you for all that you do.
Baruch atah Adonai Barach. Baruch atah Barach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin v'natanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vehotircha Adonai Elohecha Bekol maaseh yadecha, be free v'ifneha, uvi free v'chemtecha, uvi free admatecha l'tova. Ki yashuv Adonai lasus alecha l'tov, ka'asher sas al avotecha. Ki tishma bekol Adonai Elohecha lishmor mitzvotav v'hukotav hakatuva be'sefer haTorah hazeh. Ki tashuv el Adonai Elokecha bekol levavka uvekol nashecha. Ki ha-mitzvah hazot asher anochi mitzavecha hayom lo niflet hi mimcha velo rechocha hi.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan banu Torah temet, v'chayei olanu v'torah. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
It seems particularly appropriate that what Alan just chanted was about the Torah not being very distant from us. It's lo rechokahi. It's not far away. It's right here. And all of you bring that right here. We thank you. I want to introduce also Talia Benari, who's our, well, she does many things here. What's your official title?
Membership and Development.
I'm trying to read your name tag. Yes.
Membership and Development.
Membership and Development Manager. And also, she is the coordinator for the Chesed Committee, and so we're very grateful for all that you do. Many of the people who are here in the Kahal today have probably talked to Talia. She's a wonderful person to know and to talk to here at Sheretz Israel. Thank you all. For our fifth Aliyah, Jacqueline Kornblatt will be chanting for us. There she is. She's coming to the bima right now, and I'll just say that Jacqueline is going to be singing a beautiful, beautiful duet with Jonathan Dimmock at our Yizkor service on Friday night at 5:30. So please join us to hear Yesh Kochavim, which will be gorgeous. For the honor of the fifth Aliyah, I would like to invite someone to come to the bima who needs literally no introduction whatsoever in this community, David Balafi, and our special guests, Jan and Andre Balafi, who look as surprised as David thought that they might because they don't know they're coming up for this Aliyah, but we would like to honor you as well as our wonderful David. So many of you have known the Balafis in our community for so long. They are incredible people who do the coolest stuff. Really, the coolest stuff. Andre invented some stuff that you use every single day. You'll have to ask him about it at another time. But I'll tell you that these guys are amazing. Jantu and David, who has been a part of this community in so many ways. All of you know David from our front steps. He's been outside taking excellent care of his very own community with love for so, so long. And on this Yom Kippur, it is time to honor you for so much that you bring to us all year long, but especially on this morning in front of the community. We thank you. Ta'amol la Torah.
Baruch Adonai HaPorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Lo v'shamayim yiv lemor mi ya'ale lanu hashamayma ve'yikache alanu ve'ashmi'enu otaha ve'na'asena ve'lo me'ever layom hiv lemor mi yahavur lanu elever hayom ve'yichache alanu ve'ashmi'enu otaha ve'na'asena ki karov elecha hadavar me'od befilka uvilvavecha la'asoto.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet Ve'acha Olam Nata Betochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Just having you on the bima, I'm thinking about all the places that your family has lived. David was telling me about a family store in Italy that sells this beautiful Hebrew letter tie that he's wearing on this morning, which is very appropriate for the blessing of the Torah. And I'm thinking from Africa to Europe to the United States. Would your ancestors have imagined that David would be honored this morning at Congregation Shereth Israel on the Bima in San Francisco? I don't know. But like so many families, we are all a mix of all of the places that we came from and all of the learnings that we have carrying the Torah with us everywhere that we go. Thank you for being so amazing and fabulous parts of our community. We thank you especially, not only for keeping us safe, but for the love that you bring to this community.
Twice in the Middle East.
Twice, not just once.
Twice.
For the honor of our sixth Aliyah, Jacqueline will chant for us Deuteronomy 30, verses 15 through 20, which can be found on page 268. I would like to invite our amazing Board of Trustees. Sorry, my mistake. Wait, hold on. Sorry. In the presence of the Torah, I am reminded with the Torah here, we have the privilege to say a blessing of healing. So we will hear that Aliyah in just a minute. Sorry, you can all come up in 1 second. But for the Misha Berach, please turn to page 273 as we on this Yom Kippur morning think of those in our community and our hearts who are in need of healing of body and of spirit. We wish them refuah shlema, page 273.
The source of
beautiful end of this Torah portion, which can be found at the very bottom of page 267, beginning with verse 15. Jacqueline will chant for us verses 15 through 20 as God instructs us, B'charta b'chaim, choose life so that you and the future generations may live. For the honor of this aliyah, I would like to invite our board of trustees that works tirelessly now to ensure that Shereth Israel is a wonderful, beautiful, clean, amazing place for all of us to gather. These folks work tirelessly to take good care of us, and we're so honored to have you here and for the work that you do throughout the entire year. Ta'amod l'aliyah Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Re'ei natati lefanecha hayom et ha'chaim ve'et ha'tov ve'et ha'mavet ve'et ha'ra. Asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom le'ahava et Adonai Elohecha lalechet bidrokav v'lishmor mitzvotav v'hukotav u'mishpatav v'hayita u'v'ravita u'v'rachaka Adonai Elohecha ba'aretz asher ata v'shama l'rishta. Ve'im yifnei levavecha ve'lo tishma v'nidakta ve'ishtakavita le'elohim akerim va'avadartam. Higadati lachem hayom ki avod tovedun lo tarechum yamim al hadama asher Adonai over et hayardain lavo shama l'rishta. Ha'idoti v'chem hayom et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz ha'chayim v'mavet natati lefanecha ha'bracha v'ha'klala uvecharta b'chayim lemontiye ata v'zarecha Le'ahava et Adonai Elohecha lishmo bekolo uldav kavod. Ki hu hayrecha ve'orek yamecha lashevet al hadama. Asher nishba Adonai la'avotecha la'Avraham lo'Yitzchak u'Yaakov latet lachem.
Thank you all so much that you do for Congregation Shereth Israel. We would not be here without you. That is the truth. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to invite all of our honorees to sit back down because we are going to be lifting the Torah. We turn to page 274. And I would like to invite some very special people to come to the Bima. Rhoda Wolf and Rabbi Greg Wolf, representing the entire Wolf family. Please come on up. You're going to have to endure me saying this again, Rabbi Wolf. Sorry. I say it every time you're here, but it means so much to me. There are 9 of us who grew up here at Congregation Shereth Israel who became rabbis, and I'm number 6. Rabbi Altshuler is number 9. Rabbi Wolf is number 1. I've said it 1,000 times recently because we're so lucky that since he retired, he's been here with his mom, Rhoda, back in his home congregation in their community that they built up. And the reason that not only do I think it's cool, and I'm not aware of any other synagogues that have 9 rabbis who were produced in-house, but having you here reminds me of our wonderful Rabbi Wiener, Rabbi Raphael, who helped to bring all of us, who believed so strongly that lifting up the next generation and bringing more of us into Judaism, into the rabbinate was so important. So I feel their presence in this sanctuary.
50 years ago, during Sukkot, was my bar mitzvah.
Wait, you'll have to tell everybody. 50 years ago during Sukkot, right here next week, this coming week, was Greg's bar mitzvah right here. Right here. Oh my gosh, yes. It's really wonderful to have so many people who are long-time, many-generation members of our community and also come back as adults. And I never have and never would use the word old. But yes, as our elder, I like to say sibling in this crazy fellowship of the 9 of us, we're honored to have you and your mom, who has been a steadfast part of building this community for decades and decades. We honor you on this Yom Kippur and are grateful to have you. We stand now as Rabbi Wolf is able to lift this lopsided weight Torah high up. Please be seated. I think many of you came recently to the Shel Wolf Memorial Lecture that was given by Rabbi Jeff Salkin here in memory of Sheldon Wolf, Rhoda's beloved husband of 65 years, who died last year after being such a special leader in our community, a past president of this congregation. And Rhoda and Shel have been leaders in all areas of the Jewish community in San Francisco, especially supporting Israel and our place in Israel. So it was very special to have Rabbi Jeff Salkin here for that lecture to speak about Israel. We turn now to page 275 as we prepare for the chanting of our Haftarah. Craig Etlin will honor us with the chanting of the blessings and the Haftarah, which you can find on page 277.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nevi'im tovim, b'ratza v'divreihem, hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'torah, u'v'moshe avdo, u'v'Yisrael amo, u'v'nevi'ei ha'emet, v'tzedek. Kera v'garon al takso, Kashofar harem kolecha vehagid le'ami pisham ulevet Yaakov hatotam ve'oti yom yom yidrashun v'da'at drachai yechpatsun kegoy asher tzedakasa u'mishpat Elohav lo azav yishaluni mishpatei tzedek Kirvat Elohim yechpatsun. La matzamnu velo ra'ita, ininu nafshenu velo teda. In bayom timsu chefetz, v'kol atzvotechem tingosu. Hein lariv umatzah tatsumu, ulachakot ba'grof resha, lo tatsumu chayom. Asmiya bamarom kolchem. Hachazeh yiyeh tzom efarehu. Yom anot adam nafsho. Halacho kagmon rosho. V'sak v'efer yatzia. Halazeh tikratzom. V'yom ratzon ladonai. Halozeh tzom efarehu. Pateach hartzubot resha, hater agudot mota, v'shalach ritzutzim chofshim, v'kol mota tinateku. Halo faros l'ra'ev lakmecha, v'aniim merudim tavi vayit. Kitire arom b'kisito, umibsarecha lo titalam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol halamim, tzadik b'kol hadorot, ha'el haneman ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'medaber u'mekayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah ve'el ha'avodah ve'el ha'nevi'im ve'el yom ha'kippurim hazeh, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, למחילה ולסליחה ולכפרה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד, ודרך האמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה, אדוני, מלך מוחל וסולח לעוונותינו, ולעוונות עמו בית ישראל, ומעביר אשמותינו בכל שנה ושנה, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל, ביום הכיפורים.
We rise as the ark is opened and the Torah is returned to the ark, page 290.
Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, ki nisgav shemo levad. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem, Yameinu Kekedem, Hashivenu, Hashivenu,
Please be seated. A haiku that I wrote on my iPhone at Land's End in San Francisco. Life screamed out, "Go west." I went as far as I could. Now I'm here, Land's End. A haiku I wrote about writing a haiku on my iPhone at Land's End in San Francisco. In the iPhone's time, words in bytes are cheap, but life still warrants poems. I love haikus. The structure of 5 syllables, then 7 syllables, then 5 syllables offers helpful constraints, forcing you to be more creative. The brevity also encourages you to be playful. In fact, I have written quite a few haikus about haikus. Why only write haikus? Because I don't trust myself with more syllables. Too many haikus? Not while trees sway, music blares, kids laugh, oceans froth. I've had a good time playing with haikus for years, but I became more interested in poetry during the height of the pandemic. During the COVID lockdowns in the spring of 2020, I was spending lots of time on my phone. I decided that instead of anxiously scrolling through the news, it would make sense for me to look at something more calming. And so I downloaded an app for poetry. During the lockdowns, every night before I went to sleep, I scrolled through a few poems. Those months were scary. There was uncertainty about how long the pandemic would last, what it would mean for our future, and what would happen if we or our loved ones got COVID. The poetry I sought out during that time tended to be life-affirming. While most of it had no direct connection to a 21st century pandemic, the poems I tended to like were full of spirit and enthusiasm for life. I'll share with you the first and last stanzas of one of the poems that I really liked, The Daffodils by William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. There was something about the scariness of the pandemic, about being more aware of the shortness of life, that made me want to appreciate beauty. Something about the scariness of the pandemic made me want to meditate on daffodils. it seems there is a connection between poetry and becoming aware of the shortness of life. Poetry can help us savor our limited time on earth. The shortness of life is a big theme of Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, we are asked to rehearse our own deaths. It is traditional to wear a death shroud known as a kittel. We deny our body by abstaining from food and sex. We contemplate the book of life, and we say confessional prayers that are similar to those we hope to say on our deathbeds. This day in which we rehearse our deaths is full of poetry. The imagery of one of the most striking moments of Yom Kippur is striking. The long day is over and the gates are closing. Slowly day fades into dusk. Soon the earth will darken, our bodies weak and weary, our inner strength undiminished. Why is it that when we feel the gates are closing, when we contemplate our mortality, we often turn to poetry? The Oxford Dictionary describes poetry as a literary work in which special intensity is given to the expression of feelings and ideas by the use of distinctive style and rhythm. That is a mouthful, not a very poetic definition. Still, the dictionary seems to be telling us that poetry is about focusing on how we use language just as much as what we are saying. My high school English teacher, Dan Harder, had a way of explaining this that I will never forget. He told my class, poetry is the act of framing. According to him, poetry is the act of saying, hey, look how this language is put together. Focusing on how language is put together leads to a heightened appreciation for what is said. Poetry invites us to describe things well, to put care into how we express ourselves. Poetry asks us to describe things in a heightened, richer way. Being aware of the shortness of our lives can move us to appreciate the details, to make us more aware of the time we have, to live more richly. Being aware of the shortness of our lives can move us to poetry. And yet, in modern life, we are generally less inclined to poetry than in previous eras. I recall one of my professors in college once saying that in the 19th century, people memorized poems and had sections of the Bible memorized by heart. Now, this is a congregation in which people care a lot about culture, so I'm guessing some of us have, in fact, memorized poems. But I'd wager that we collectively have way fewer poems memorized than the same number of people 150 years ago. I can think of two reasons people tend to be less interested in poetry these days. The first is that words are simply cheaper than they used to be. One estimate I found said that there are 100 trillion words on the internet. There's a superabundance of words these days, and we tend to appreciate them less. If words are cheap, we don't give them the time and care that they deserve. I think there's also a more profound reason we're less interested in poetry. For many of us, it's possible to go about our lives and not think very much about how our time is limited. Our lives tend to be longer, and illness and death tend to happen in medical settings away from most of society. Death becomes present in all of our lives. Some of us are close to the end of our lives. We all lose people who we love at one time or another. Some of us have lost loved ones recently. Still, for most of human history, death was an even more present part of everyday life. If it's true that being aware of the shortness of life makes us more interested in poetry, we may be less interested in poetry today because we can live at a remove from death. In 21st century San Francisco, it's generally easier to avoid thinking about our deaths than it has been in centuries past. Yom Kippur, in a wonderfully countercultural way, works against this. The day asks us not only to be aware of our deaths, but also to rehearse our deaths. Could this work of considering death motivate us to be more open to poetry? I mean this quite literally in terms of the poetry of the prayers today. Perhaps today we can let the beautiful words and music of our service sweep over us more fully. I wonder if there's also a more figurative approach we can take to making our lives more infused with poetry. When I attended a class at a synagogue in Washington, D.C., a rabbi I admire a lot named Scott Perlow shared what he described as some of the most important Torah to him. Now, I don't remember what Jewish texts we read during that class, but at some point in the session, he showed the class a video of the musician Prince, or maybe I should say the musician formerly known as Prince, performing. Prince was riffing during a guitar solo. As he played, Prince looked enthralled. His eyes were wide open and he had this look on his face that seemed to be saying, "I am so alive right now." The rabbi's message was that there is a way to live like Prince during the guitar solo. There are ways to live that take advantage of the short time we have, that riff on what is given to us. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel described this way of living in an interview when he was asked what advice he had for young people. Toward the end of his life, he told the interviewer, "The meaning of life is to build life as if it were a work of art. When you are young, start working on this great work of art called your existence." I wonder if this Yom Kippur we can be inspired to live the Jewish year of 5784 more poetically. This will mean different things for each of us. We all have different versions of Prince soloing on his guitar. Perhaps for you, this means being a more loving and affectionate person to those around you. Or maybe this means further exploring your own creative outlet, whether that be writing, painting, pottery, or dance. Maybe this means using your body more by exercising or playing a sport. Perhaps this means filling your life with more art, including poetry. Regardless of how we do it, this Yom Kippur can be a reminder for each of us to live more fully. We can be reminded that, in the words of Heschel, we are to work on this great work of art called our existence. I would like to close this morning with an excerpt from a poem. In When Death Comes, Mary Oliver captures this idea of being inspired by the shortness of life to live more fully. Mary Oliver writes, "When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut, when death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, when it's all over, I want to say, all of my life, I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I had made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited the world." In 5784, may we take advantage of the limited time we have. May we riff on what has been given to us. May we make of our lives poetry. Gemar Chatima Tova.
We turn to page 293 in our Machzorim and read together. Because I was angry, because I didn't think, because I was exhausted and on edge, because I'd been drinking, because I can be mean, because I was reckless and selfish, because I was worried about money, because my marriage was dead, because other people were doing it, because I thought I could get away with it, because I did something wrong, because I'm in pain, because I wish I could undo it, because I hurt him, because I lost her trust, because I let them down, because I was self-destructive, because I was foolish, because I'm ashamed, because that's not who I am, because that's not who I want to be, because I want to be forgiven. God, bring down my walls of defensiveness and self-righteousness. Help me to stay in humility. Please give me the strength to do what's right. We turn to page 296 for Tavo Lifanecha.
Avoteno veimote Agadnu, Agadnu.
We continue on page 305. We focused inward, narrowing our vision. We were preoccupied with ourselves. We turned our backs on the poor and defenseless. We were contemptuous of the weak. We tolerated violence against children, neglect of the old, exploitation of the innocent. We told ourselves there was nothing we could do. We wasted the resources of the earth. We denied our responsibility and put it out of our minds. We kept silent when we should have spoken out. We gave in to cynicism and despair. We sought entertainment instead of enlightenment. We were lazy, indifferent, and callous. We forgave too easily for our failures. We forgot that we always have a choice. We read together on page 307. We confess our sins against the earth. We commit ourselves to saving it. We have assaulted our planet in countless ways. We have blamed others for the spiraling, deepening crisis. We have consumed thoughtlessly and irresponsibly. We have driven myriad species to the point of extinction. We have exhausted irreplaceable resources. We have failed to transcend borders and act unselfishly. We have given into our appetites and our gluttony. We have harmed beyond repair the habitats of living beings. We have ignored the signs of change in our climate and our seasons. We have jeopardized the well-being of future generations. We have known the problem but left problem solving to others. We have lost sight of our role as God's partners in creation. We have mocked cynically those who love creatures great and small. We have neglected the environment, most of all in places of poverty. We have overpopulated our cities and overfished our oceans. We have polluted seashore and sky, fertile soil and freshwater springs. We have questioned and doubted solid evidence of danger. We have ravaged the old-growth forests, ecosystems created over centuries. We have spewed poison into the bloodstream of our land, its rivers, lakes, and estuaries. We have transformed dazzling beauty into industrial ugliness. We have used shared resources for personal gain and corporate profit. We have violated the commandment, do not destroy. We have wasted precious treasures, our God-given gifts. We have exploited the weakness and most vulnerable in our midst. And yet we learn to be better guardians of this earth and the fullness thereof. Let us be zealous now to care for this unique corner of the cosmos, this planet, our sacred home. We read together on page 317. Shema Kolenu, hear our call, Adonai Eloheinu, and may we hear yours in our apologies and confessions, in the meditations of our heart, in the accountings of our soul. Hear our call, and may we hear yours in words of counsel and consolation, in the silence of one who listens, in the strength of a hand that upholds. Hear our call, Adonai Eloheinu, as we strive to hear yours on this day of the heart, this day of repair and healing. A few announcements as we conclude our Yom Kippur morning service. At 1 p.m., the Social Action Committee program will take place in Bart Hall. The guest speaker will be Erica Kish, who is the executive director of the Compass Family Shelter in the Tenderloin. This nonprofit is the recipient of our Hamotzi meals, so it's a wonderful opportunity, especially if you are a Hamotzi volunteer, to learn about where the food goes after we work so hard to prepare it. And it is also an amazing opportunity to hear about the needs of unhoused people in our community, so I encourage you all to attend. At 2:30 p.m. in the sanctuary, we have our contemplative prayer, body and soul service. This is a time to look inward. There will be harp music and guided meditation, and there are a lot of words said on Yom Kippur, so this is an opportunity to sort of look inward and have some peace and quiet. At 3:30, we have the text study in Bart Hall. I'm really excited about it. We'll be looking at the book of Jonah and comparing it with the story of Noah in Genesis. There's a lot of interesting similarities and differences between the two stories that are in conversation with one another. 5 o'clock, we have Yizkor, our morning service, and at 5:45, there will be Ne'ilah, the closing of the gates. This is, as Rabbi Graf likes to say, this is one of the most beautiful services of the year, and we encourage you all to come back for that. 6:30 p.m., there will be the breakfast in Newman Hall. A few other things to mention upcoming on the calendar. Sukkot will be September 29th. I want to plug my podcast club. This is an opportunity to listen to podcasts about Judaism and think about the future of Judaism and how to create better Jewish community. I really encourage you to sign up for that. It will be the first Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. The Yom Kippur morning service famously doesn't have a real conclusion because the idea is that we are meant to stick around in the synagogue and continue the work of contemplation on Yom Kippur. Gemar Chatima Tova.